Good morning and welcome to Manic Fishing. Well, I've got the honour today of fishing with a good friend of mine and fellow ambassador, Adam Kirby. Now Adam, he specialises in light lure fishing. It's something that I want to get into. I've been lure fishing for quite a few years, but Adam's a master at this. I virtually do vertical jigging. Adam targets different fish, bream, wrasse and all these other nice small varieties, but he does it all on lures and metal. So I've got a few things here that I picked up. Whether he's going to laugh at some of this stuff, but I've had these for a long time. I got these from Mick Ward. These are like a sleeper craw, and I've never really known how to work them, so I'm just going to pick his brains today. I've got some of these Japanese sort of things that may be okay. I mean, Adam's going to bring a load of stuff down with him, and I also got these gulp, so I'm just going to really pick his brains today. We'll go out, sort of a no pressure day. We just want to catch some wrasse. We may get all the varieties of wrasse. I'm pretty guaranteed I can get ballon, but it'd be nice to get the cuckoo, the Balian. I don't know them all, but I'm sure Adam does. But what I'm going to do is round at the pickup point. It's 7:15 now. I'm going to pick him up at 20 to 8. We're going to get the 8 o'clock lock and hit out, and fingers crossed we'll catch a few. So let's get round and see Adam. Morning, mate. How are we doing?
Permission to come aboard,
Yes,
please.
aboard. Sovereign Harbour, Lady Margaret. Can you keep that north, please? So we've just come out to this reef now, and I'm going to, we're still on a little bit of a ebb tide, just coming up to slack water, so I'm going to go down with my 60 gram, I think it's an 80 gram slow pitch jig, and I think Adam's going to try something different.
14 grams.
You're going to go what? 14 grams. So we'll see what we see what sort of works, and then we'll discuss what we're doing and everything else as we go along. And I mean I'm no wrasse fisherman really, but what I've sort of learned with it is that they're quite a predatory fish.
Oh yeah.
And I tend to try and tap that jig on the bottom, and I think it just aggravates them.
Yeah. So I think I grew up, as you would have done, reading the press, like them saying that wrasse are purely territorial, as in they're defending their ground. I'm not sure about that.
No.
From what I've seen. Like, what I've learned, I suppose, because I do predominantly lure fishing, and obviously I'm fishing for wrasse and pollock and whatever else. It's just how clear it is to me that I find the best wrasse on the same, exactly the same locations that I would find wrasse.
Yeah.
Like they're competing. And in fact, last time we were out in Dan, we had a moment in clear water where we had a wrasse and a bass go for the lure. So yeah, I think we're probably at this stage forgotten more than we know.
Yeah. So do you think they go for crab more, or that's almost like a shellfish, crayfish sort of?
Yeah, I think seasonally they probably go for whatever's most available. Like, so I guess I feel like when we start wrasse fishing from the boat, maybe late April, I always feel that it's actually probably prawns with the odd sort of crab is what they're going for. And then as the season progresses, I think that the fish baits can start to outfish the crustaceans, although I don't think they'll turn down the right size creature.
And have you got a weight on that then?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So that just slides up and down freely.
So I've got barbless for wrasse just because I'm confident with it, and you know they've got rubbery mouths and like what you would have had with catching wrasse on assist hooks, it's hard to get the hooks out. So I actually go barbless on an offset hook, appropriately sized to the creature, and that's just a running weight. I mean, in old school terms, it would have just been called a Texas rig, and you would have seen like the cone leads, which comes from like US bass fishing. This is a Japanese enhancement on that. It's got a better angle to it, and it's actually called the free rig. So the weight makes it to the bottom first. You'll have a long, probably the whole length of your leader, and that'll just flow down slowly, and then you can lift and then
it'll dance.
So almost what Dav in your mind's eye is I'm making that a very slow jig. Because once that weight reaches to the bottom, it's weightless. So it's got very little weight.
And how long do you have your leader?
I've got quite long. In the summer, I tend to get longer based on the water clarity. I don't really know what we've got. Actually, it's better than I thought, where it's overcast. It looks worse than it actually is. But yeah, I mean, I certainly want a couple of metres.
Yeah. See, I only normally do about 18 inches, you know, just as a sort of to stop it rubbing on the reef. But then, as I said, I've only ever done really vertical jigging. Yeah.
Well, I think I go long leaders. One of the reasons I go long leaders is I very rarely use a lure clip.
Yeah.
So through the day,
you always tie.
I'm retying, so I go through a leader.
Yeah. So how far are you working that out then? Is it being taken by tide a bit? Or?
No, this is fishing lovely. I haven't really worked out what direction we're going in at the moment. I guess I'm dragging it on this side of the boat, am I?
There's a lot of kelp. This is
kelp on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is a.
Oh, well, it sounds perfect.
Yeah. That one.
I can't tell you what.
No. It's not a pouting.
Good pouting. Never say never on the light gear. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, right. So that's the target achieved.
Target achieved.
Do you want a net?
I will do, because I'm on quite light stuff. So I would say that's still in breeding colours. It's got a blue. It's got blue vibes. Thank you, Mark.
Yes. We'll get a picture of that. And is that a male or a female?
People would say that that's a female because it's sort of dull in colour.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Am I right that they're all
they
males
all start female?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you catch another one, I'm going to change jigs.
Well, I can set you up. I've got enough gear to set you up.
Oh, okay. Well, as I said, I've got into doing the slow pitching. I love it. I've been slow pitching for probably as long as I have lure fishing, about 15-16 years, but I've never done it on the correct rod. Yeah, you're straight in,
That
eh?
was under the boat. It's probably a mackerel. Mackerel. Jumbo mackerel.
Oh, okay.
Not the intended species.
No.
You're very lucky today, Mr. Mackerel.
So it doesn't matter the line going out quite far.
Well, it increases your chance of snagging. That's all I would
right.
say. So it's better. At that point, you feel like it's getting really grabby. It's better just to reel in, flick it up, and repeat.
Yeah. Because I mean, like with the slow jig, obviously it wouldn't work out like that properly. You know, probably your yo-yo and that would, but.
Well, I'll show you that later with a light metal, like how we would fish that.
Is that mackerel again, or do you think
I think it might be a barrel. Oh yeah.
What do you want the net?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, bloody great net. Yeah, so we'll have a few. We'll fish here until we can't as such, and then we'll move round. Do you want to do? You want to go back round?
Yeah.
Should we continue this area, or shall I move over slightly? Or?
Up to you, man. Like I say.
So you're picking them up here, aren't you?
Well, why don't we get you one here because we know they're here?
Yeah.
We'll get you one here and then we'll move off.
Yeah.
And I think, like, so what you're experiencing there with the lighter stuff, you know, like how you're comparing it with a slow jig that doesn't move away.
Yep.
I think that's why, like, when I'm getting zoned, obviously when I'm running the boat, you know, what's happening today is I'm getting zoned in on how the boat's set up and which way we're going. And then you'll see me as I now realise you're setting the boat up, like we're drifting, well, on my side of the boat we're drifting that way, is I'm putting more of a cast in the wrong way to buy me more time back. Because actually it's fishing better there than it is when it's out the back and I'm dragging it.
Right.
So it's almost like you're fishing back to front. Like it's more valuable the wrong way than it is dragging it. I mean, you still catch dragging it. I just think you run the risk of losing, spending all day retying. Before flicking out, just let that boat find its. Just let that tide kick in. Probably about now.
And flick it up the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I similarly do when I'm slow jigging, so that it actually comes down. So I normally
the sweet spot.
Yeah, I find where that sort of kill zone is as such.
And then you try and repeat it. I often think it must be like a bit like flying a helicopter in terms of you've got all these different dimensions happening. You've got the tide happening, the wind happening, and obviously the fall rate. And you've got to try and land it on the exact spot on the rep. So you might be able to feel that on that first drop, when you first put the bail arm over and lift, there's no resistance there because you've got a lot of line out. And then from that point, what you're trying to do is just hop it along. I'd probably be surprised how high that pops, but I wouldn't. That's about one. I doubt. Yeah, it's a better one. Yeah, I've got one. Hold on. See, we're just coming up to that ledge. Yeah, I think we're probably only hopping it a couple of foot.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You got the net or your manhandling it?
I'll probably get him in, I think. I don't want to lose it, just in case of it.
It's there if you want it.
So, yeah.
First on plastic? Or?
Yes. Yes, really, I think it is, because normally I just fish them with a slow jig.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've got his maybe smaller twin.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. That's bigger than mine. Yeah, great.
Tick that one off, Mark.
Yeah.
So I can already tell that you're going to annoy me at some later stage when you're showing me all these ginormous wrasse you've found.
Well, I think it's addictive, isn't it? Because especially for me, because I'm more catch and release than I am anything else. So it's just great fun. Oh, now I thought he had some trouble going back, and now he's back.
Yeah, I don't think they're blowing up in the same way your pollock blows up. It's a diet thing.
So shall we go back round? And
up to you, mate.
So obviously you've got a lighter lead on than me.
Yeah.
So yours is obviously getting down. So I'm still sort of level with the back of the boat. I'm still okay for a minute.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could argue that you're fishing more effectively, I suppose, because you're in that zone a bit longer. I do have the tendency to hold on to the light gear probably a bit longer than I should.
Yeah.
But I love that. He's off.
So when you went to Japan, did you stock up on loads of?
Yeah, it's hard not.
Yeah. Do they have Wrasse there? Yeah. They have Wrasse there?
No. Well, they do have Wrasse actually, but they don't fish for them. This is where the terminology rockfish comes.
Oh, okay.
So they have a whole host of what I would say are more grouper type species.
Yeah.
And they fill the same void as our banner wrasse, basically.
And you can fish them like this.
Oh, exactly like this.
Yeah.
This comes from their fishing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the fallacies that's long misunderstood and will remain misunderstood. Is with something like LRF, like rock fishing, it's not light rock fishing. It's fishing for rockfish. It's
Right.
rockfishing.
Yeah. And are them lures, are they scented in any way? Do you think?
Some of them are.
Does it make any difference?
I'm not bothered. It's one of the things that I don't look at.
No.
The only time in my entire lure fishing where I'll ever even consider set when I'm fishing. When I'm fishing a lake or like a pressure fishery, where I think that set might make a small difference. What you got there, beast? You're about to show me up.
Didn't have the clutch on. It's just nice to
Showing off your showboating.
Yeah. Probably not. So then that lure then got caught on my oh no, it's gone back down. Yeah?
Just went up the line.
Yeah. Okay, that's a dark one, isn't it?
Yeah, chocolate flavour, that one. So that was right at the end of the drift, by the looks of it. What I make.
So shall we go back round or? Yeah. We'll do one more and then we'll try and, because we've had a few, or you've had a few, and we'll try and see if we can get something different.
Okay. I'll show you. Well, we can do some stuff to camera afterwards if you want. It's helpful as well. So those beans are just my preferred. I think it gives something that's got a bit of an angle in the line, but traditionally it would be
okay, I've seen those. Yeah.
You fish it exactly the same. And that weirdly, just by changing that lead, that would suddenly be called Texas rigging, whereas this is called free rigging.
So I flick that up.
Yeah. I'm interested to show you at some point the light metal stuff because you're already across that with the slow jigs.
Yeah.
It might be a nice extra string to your bow.
Now, I don't know if I'm hoping that's a fish.
Something in it.
I thought for a minute I caught the reef, but it's not. It just feels a bit better on here.
Yeah. Well, this is my point.
Yeah.
This is when you start to get addicted. It's a bit slower, this fish.
Right. Yeah, nailed that, didn't I? I thought I've caught the reef.
Yeah.
Right, let's try and hold him sensibly. So he's got a slight tinge of blue in him as well.
Yeah. So April, May time, they get this like blue iridescent sort of sheen that you might have seen. And that's definitely a breeding pattern. But
Right. Yeah, and he flew off.
we'll probably get one more in on this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still going on it. So how do I lift this one back up?
Ah, yeah, sorry. It's all the same, it's just a bit more complicated because it's got a end.
So that lays flat, right.
Yeah, it's a nice day, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see where we're coming up to that rip tide, see? Have lure fishing, but never with the correct rod, really.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, oh, it can't be a lot different, but it is a lot different of how you load that jig. But it took me a while, and then because I've always used a lure rod in my right hand.
Oh, did you change to left hand wide?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the way. I've had a few people question me.
It's definitely the way.
It is, isn't it?
100%.
Because I always lure fish with my right, use my right hand for holding my rod.
The difference is because it's an active method, you want your strong.
Yeah.
You want your strong.
It took me a little while to.
On the rod.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get my head around it to start with, and then I kept questioning myself, thinking, have I bought the wrong? Because the reel wasn't cheap. Have I bought the wrong thing? And Terry, because Terry said, he said, oh no, that's what you want. He said, if you hold the rod in that hand, that's what you want. And then I kept questioning myself. I thought, is it? And then once I started to use it, it was fine.
It feels a bit weird to start.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is getting that weather window. I mean, I've just booked to go to Torquay to fish with Matthew Forrester,
Oh,
and
cool.
I'd like to learn his. I think he knows his stuff. He's given me a good deal.
Have you done much slow jigging on a charter boat?
Never. Well, I did it on John's, but it's okay because obviously he has. So one drift is fine because he'll set the drift up so that the boat is coming this way, and then the other drift it's going under the boat, so you have to try and cast away from the boat a bit.
I'm interested to get your feedback after you do that, because I think it's easier slow jigging off of a bigger boat with more draft.
Yeah.
I think it holds the water better.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, when I fish on my own, I set this up so that I would probably have this boat facing the other way round, because so that I normally try and fish this side. So, you know, so I like fishing this side.
Yeah, you get in your routine.
I've got a seat up there. Yeah, we're off it now. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to go? Do you want to do one more over this, or do you want to have a look to see if we can find something else?
Have a look for something else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
You've completed that.
Yep. So what we've done, we've come off of that reef now, and we're going to try and see if we can get a cuckoo maybe. We're on some ground that a friend of mine said where we might pick them up. So we're not targeting the rocky areas. We're trying to hit the flat side, the flatter areas. I'm going to go down with a slow jig, and I think Adam's going to go down as well with a
15 gram slow jig.
Okay. So he's gone really light, and I think mine is about an 80. So I'm still sort of stuck in my ways a little bit with what I'm doing. So I'm just hoping. And with that slow jig, then, does that matter if that goes away? Will that work?
It's very similar to before. There's a point where you just don't think that's working as well as
no.
Yeah.
See, this here is perfect. I'm literally right at the side of the boat.
Oh.
So we're in, but slightly deeper here. We're in 55 foot.
We used to do a lot of bream fishing. It used to be one of our favourite things to do with like light rods, and you know. And I don't know if it's the same in your neck of the woods, but we would use like squid strip, and that would be the classic bait, or a squid head or whatever. And I think what we've learned where we're lure fishing for the bream now is effectively what we were doing with the squid strips was making a lure out of squid.
Yeah.
Because if you think about bream fishing, like what's the one thing that really massively increases your catch rate? It's moving the rod every now and again. Lift it up, put it down. Lift it up, put it down. Don't let it just sit there.
I mean, we find how I've been fishing with them is more strips of cuttle, because it's white, you know, and it's very
really
tough.
Thin.
Yeah, really tough. And I mean, I think you will get the bigger ones on squid head, but when I went down to Kingsmere, I think I landed on a nest, and I didn't. There weren't anything really bigger than. I did have one about, you know, a few about £3, but I found that it didn't matter. Top, middle, bottom. Is that a fish or
Off the bottom? So it's not fighting. I think that was a rock.
There's a load down there now, fish. What that is, I don't know. If we do this one drift through to this, we'll end up going onto this rocky bit, and then we can perhaps try going over and going across the more rockier area. I worry a bit. Oh, look, I took that on the way up. That must be a bass or a mackerel. It's got to tell on this rod because it's so light.
Yeah, it's nice that. I like that rod.
Well, I bought the one. Oh, it's a bass. Nice bass.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Well, I bought the Power 2 to start with, and I said to Terry, I said, no, I want something lighter than that.
Like that line's still in the water there. That'll be fine. Well done, mate.
Not a monster of the day, but it'll do, won't it? Oh, you don't keep them, do you? Do you want that?
No. I'll only end up feeding it to the dog.
Yeah, no. So yeah, a little bass. Come back.
5 species.
Yeah. So I've going to try one of these little. I think this is a little gigabyte 40. And what are you down with, Adam?
What have I got on? A little 12 grammer.
Okay, let's have a try then. So I'm still stuck with my slightly heavier setup at the minute. It's very hard to change what you're sort of used to and you know.
Yeah. Well, if I can get my eye in with this and prove that it's working,
Yeah,
it'd be cool to hand it over to you and see and get on with it.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's species specific, because like us historically, it's about them eating a fish. So, you know, horse mackerel, adgie as it's called, there's like a whole scene just for catching horse mackerel in the most finite detail. But bay jigging is one of the exceptions to the rule. That's like we're doing today, like a technique that you would fish very much what you've got here, inshore, mixed ground, you know, been over smooth stuff, been over rock, been over reef, and they're just fishing. They're just fishing.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily we're targeting, you know.
In the same way we would go bassing. We use that term all the time, don't we? Oh, we're going bassing. Yeah. Well, that's the same as adging or, you know, whatever other species they're targeting on the day.
Did you do any fishing over there?
I've only done shore fishing, yeah. One day I'll get out on a boat over there, but the weather always seems to let me down. There you go. The Japs were killed for one that size.
So, do they eat them?
Oh, they love it. They eat them raw, yeah.
They're very bony though, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think if you know how to cut them, they absolutely love them.
Yeah.
Whenever I whenever I speak to my Japanese friends about horse mackerel, because we're so, I'm going to say uncouth, but I'm saying that because I'm in it.
Yeah.
And like, you speak to them about horse mackerel, and they'll tell you that, you know, you'd look at it and you'd look at that fish and you'd look at this fish and you go, yeah, it's scad, and they'll go, oh no, that's a such and such scad, that's another one, and then it turns out there's like 6 species of scad, and then they've got, because they're so into it from a food perspective.
So are they the same ones there as they are here?
They get that one, but they've got other ones as well. But I wouldn't know, you know, like I've caught lots of scad. I don't know it well enough that when it swings in, oh, that's a different scad.
No.
I've got no idea. For all I know, it's the same. You've got different scad, but no one cares, do they? Scad's a scad. No. But I do love the fact that they, you know, they're so, and I don't mean from a geeky perspective. They're like those Japanese anglers. They're like killers. They're like what we would aspire to be. They're like really, they live that angling life.
Yeah.
It's cool to be immersed in it for a while.
Right, so I'm going to have a switch over, and I'm going to try this flip flop on Adam's rod, and this is a 15 gram. So this is a slow jig as such, but it will still work when if it goes out.
Fish the same way.
Yeah, so that's working lovely.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I can't make the point enough. It's just because everything is stepping down, it still works to a point.
Yeah.
So you'd think, well, you know, I'm using a 40 or a 60, and it doesn't feel too heavy. So how could a 15 work?
Yeah.
But once you scale the line down, and then obviously the rod's appropriate to the weight, it still works.
So do you think that I could fish these lighter ones with my 5 to 28?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that when you were wrassing earlier and I had a go on your red rod, what did I put on there? I had a 21 gram lead on it, and it felt like it could go lighter. Yeah. So I mean, you could fish 18 gram metals, 15.
5 to 28 is a casting weight, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
is.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that my puppy, I think that's maybe a 20 to 50 or 20 to 60, but vertically jigging 100 grams.
Yeah.
Is what is the sweet spot for it.
Yeah, I mean, your red rod is about perfect for wrasse fishing. Like, although we're fishing like where we are and the tides that I normally pick, we're normally getting away with 7 or 10 gram.
The tide's bigger down your way.
I just think I'd be probably doing something different on this tide. I think that's all I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I as I said, really, I'm a sort of a wreck fisherman, really. So I know that pollock, they like to run. You know, they do like to have a push of tide. Yeah. So, if my ideal tide for sort of fishing inshore, you know, sort of out to the shipping lanes, out to about 10 mile east or west, about a 7.4 metre tide is perfect.
But what I was going to say is your red rod is bang on the money. Like, if Dan and I were going to go, you know, if we had in mind that it was good conditions for a big bass, we would be fishing 30 gram rods. And we'd be fishing a bit heavier, just because it's, you know, when you get into those 50s, well, you've had them on the slow jigs, it's hit and hold, like. So you have to overgun for those, but it doesn't mean. I think that's the complication of it. It doesn't mean that we're using anywhere near 28 gram rigs. Like, we're probably still using 7-10 gram rigs on a 28-30 gram rod, just to give us that extra hit and hold sort of strength.
But I've no doubt this rod would handle anything that we.
But I do get done occasionally, but I'm not expecting them.
Is that the reel? Is that the reel that gives out, or
no? It's normally the line.
Yeah. I mean, I've sort of always stuck with 30 pound and then I do the fluorocarbon. I always have either 25 or 30 that, and I don't know if that's anything different. I looked the other day, that Ace Hard, I looked at I tried to look for some different fluorocarbon, and it's a minefield really, that cigar. There's all different hard softs, and that's just really what I've been shown.
I can't remember which I preferred now.
What do you use fluorocarbon?
I'm just using the HDO stuff.
Yeah. Want the net?
I might lift this one.
Famous last words. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, he's got a nice bit of blue on him.
Yeah.
Her.
I think that is a her. I think traditionally that's what you'd say a her was. There's a very famous bass fishing now.
Yeah.
And so I do this drift a lot, certain times of year for big fish, and all the bass are on the front part of it, and then you get to the back, and the green ones are basically these are ginormous Ballan wrasse, and it's only with that sort of confirmation again and again, because our minds play tricks on us, don't they? You think?
And do you think the Ballans keep away from the bass? Do you think
no,
it's
they
pecking
don't.
order?
They don't. But I think this is to do with the tide run here is immense. I don't think a Ballan could hunt here. It's too ferocious.
Right.
So they're limited to being sat on the back, and the bass are all up the front.
Yeah.
But that's not always the same. Like I said, we've got loads of marks where they'll be competing side by side.
Because on that reef we fished this morning, I find that the bass are just over on one tip of it. Always there. They're not anywhere else, and further up you've got the coalies are on the top end, coalfish are on the top end of it, completely away from the bass, and then the codlins seem to be almost where we were drifting for the wrasse.
I love learning that stuff.
Yeah, that's how I've experienced.
Well, years of experience. Yeah.
We just let this one play out, and then we'll go back there. Because I think you'll get a bit more action there, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have caught a cuckoo on there.
Well, there are Ballans there.
Yeah, well, I've just got it hooked into something now. Yeah. It just makes you laugh. You say, "Oh, we're going to move," and then you start catching fish.
Yeah, that could be the tide, I guess.
Yeah. Running around. I don't know what it is. It must be. I'm sure it's a
Shout
wrasse.
when you need the net.
Yeah. I don't want to tighten the clutch up anymore. I think when it's tired, isn't it? Well, would you believe it?
Oh, it's green. Fucking massive one. Fucking awesome.
On a jig.
That's epic.
Well, we're only just talking about that.
That's a proper fish on a metal. That beats my biggest for many a year on a metal, so that's cool.
That's a nice one.
Oh, I'll definitely get a picture of you with that.
Yeah.
Oh, before I lose it, that's what I'm fishing. So it's a fixed lead this time.
Yeah.
And it's the same old shit, to be honest, mate. It's weight reaches the bottom, that'll flutter down, I'll probably just lift it and work it around. And it's a tiny little lure that looks like a shrimp.
Yep. And do you think that wrasse have a colour?
No, you would have heard this before, like you kind of just need maybe 2 or 3 colours. You need a bright colour and or a solid colour, and you need a natural colour, and that's it. Those will do you.
Do you fish for bream on Rex?
No, I've not done, but
No.
that's why I perked up interest when you were
Yeah,
talking about that.
you'll find that they're bigger on the Rex.
Yeah.
Than they are.
I've got some wrecks that I know they're on, but I've never targeted them, but I'd
Yeah.
like to. It's interesting what you said about them being over the pout.
Yeah, definitely are. Yeah, the pouter on the bottom. If you're too far down, all your hit is pouting. So they're generally a couple of foot above, in my experience of it. So whether that's a territorial or whatever mark of respect, I don't think there's a lot of respect between fish, but you know, you don't know, do you?
Yeah.
I know generally you sort of you get to the wreck and then it's normally 6 turns up, depending on the ratio of your reel, you know, or whatever. But you'll soon work it out, because if you're hitting pelting,
So you'll go 6 turns up and stop. So not like pollock where you'll
no,
continue
yeah,
to take
just
it away.
leave it and then just, you know, almost like you'd fish like a live bait or whatever, and then those will take. And you can do it with I just normally I have like an 8-foot trace and a little, you know, perhaps a size 1 or whatever, even smaller than that, hook with cuttle on or squid head. You think?
Okay.
Is that balanced?
I don't know, well, felt dreamy, but we'll see.
So that one when I thought it was diving, I thought, you know, half thought it was a bass. It felt like mad, didn't I? No, did.
We haven't had a pollock yet, have we?
No.
You were about to snap me off there with the jumbo.
That's a dark one.
Don't tell anyone I was measuring pounding.
No. That's a dark one.
Oh yeah. Chocolate.
So do you know Terry Smith then?
Do I know?
The Terry Smith, the gigabyte.
I don't know him. No,
No.
I bought through the mail order shop,
Yeah.
but I know he's held in high regard. Everyone that I've spoken to says so.
I did. I sat there for 2.5 hours just him explaining to me, because I love the science of it all. As
Yeah.
you know, as I said, I have been doing slow pitching as long as I have the other, but only with a lure rod, and there is a difference, you know. It's the same as when you work in soft plastics and whatever else on a proper lure rod. You know what that's doing, and I mean, I like. Perhaps you'll show me it. I like the way, because you can make that lure dance. I've seen the way you
I could
twist
show
them.
you in the marina.
Yes, that's exactly.
The darting one.
Yes, that's it. Darting.
This is the problem. Is once you've got all those strings to your bow, it's like, well, it's not a problem, is it? It's like, what do you fancy fishing today?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the hardest thing that I still struggle to communicate with some anglers, is that I'm just going out to do a thing or a method. I'm not, I'm not going out to slay 100 fish or whatever.
No.
Yeah. And I'm super pleased to hear from you that you were saying similar a minute ago there. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can get wrapped up in that sort of glory, the Pollock trophy and all, like of everybody, and you do get drawn into it. But what I do normally is January, February time. I know they're going to be big. I will get the double figure ones, but I haven't had any glory ones. I mean, that one, I think £15 it was. That was a good fish, but it was testing that slow jig rod the first time. And it was how awesome was that?
Yeah, that was cool.
So bass, I think, on the bottom here.
Yeah. Better fish.
Yeah, feels it.
That looks good. £8 Ballon Wrasse would make a good video.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quit if you call an £8 Ballon Wrasse. I'm just saying that up front.
you in or?
I'm in. I can do whatever you want, whatever you need. You want me to reverse back on it?
Please,
See what you mean?
yeah, very.
Right, ready when you are.
I don't want to tighten it too much because I don't think it's. Yeah, it's not. It must have got caught in the kelp, hasn't it, or something?
Yeah.
It's not even very
Well,
big.
yeah. Well, that would fit, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
With it slackening off, the kelps come up. Oh. What is it? It's my green.
Oh, right. Awesome.
Very cool. Thank you, my friend.
There you go. You were talking about. Oh no, is that a pollock? Or was that? Yeah, it's a pollock.
Oh, another one. So what's that? 9?
Yeah.
Bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, not as wide, but quite
Long.
yeah.
Oh, good balance. I felt that. You absolutely
Yeah.
killed it. There's no way I should have caught that. I think that's my biggest of the day on the smallest of the day.
Oh great! Oh, that's a monster. With slow pitching, he's understanding what that metal does.
Yeah.
And you know that I know what this one does. I know if I'm.
It's like you've got a mind. I always think it's like you've got a mind's eye, like a
Yeah.
video. It's completely made up, but your entire confidence is
Yeah.
built on the fact
Yeah.
that it's working correct. Yeah, totally agree.
So you know, like you see some people, and I mean, I was the same as it before, yanking it right up and then allowing that loads of slack line to go down. It doesn't always necessarily have to be like that.
No. Here's my question for you on a slow jig. When you're fishing, say a wreck, like just average fishing that you'll do on a wreck, the pollock, say.
Yeah.
How far up do you come?
I'll be honest. My experience, I find that they're on the bottom, so I normally hit the bottom and just give it 1 or 2 turns, and then I start working it.
And do you just work it on the spot? You don't work it up.
Sometimes, but I'm constantly looking at the sounder. So if I see them further, so you can do. But the thing is it's getting your head round these reels as well, because one turn on
It's
a
a
full
lot more
spot,
than you think. Yeah.
it's 900 mil. But it's like nearly a metre, you know, of where, you know, when I do a traditional with my fathom, I'm winding that up like that, and people say, oh, you don't have to wind fast. I said, well, one depends how much line you've got on the reel, the other is the ratio of your reel, and like, you know, and the thing is, I don't think you can wind too fast, because have you seen the speed of mackerel goes? You know, they're like a, you know.
I don't think you can reel faster than anything.
No. I mean, I generally, when I do sort of the traditional with a boom, I normally drop it down and I use like a pear-shaped lead, so it gets down there reasonable. It does disperse water, so it is giving a vibration. But as soon as that lead's hit, I wind quite quickly, because that lead, that lure is there by the time that hit. By the time you wind quick, that's coming up in a circle and coming up. But these are mine. These are killers. and they're ones I made, and they're nothing
nice
special.
colour.
Well, it's just faded a bit in the sun, and that attacks more fish. I've never caught as much on that. In my experience is that you will catch, if them fish are feeding, you'll catch them on you know, virtually on anything, especially on a wreck, you know, because they're all competing.
Because I think the reason behind that question is I'm confident in both new school slow jigging a wreck for pollock, or I'm confident fishing a flying collar as we always did with a, you know, paddle tail on the back.
Yeah.
But I've realised that I don't think I'm replicating the same thing on the slow jig
No,
that we always did with a flying collar, because I kind of feel with the flying collar.
See, I think that when you're using that, you're trying to replicate live fish as such.
Yeah.
When you're doing a slow jig, you're replicating a wounded fish, and I think
so. You're either at the bottom of the shoal or you're at the top of the shoal.
So I think that when the fish are finicky, when the bass are finicky or the pollock are finicky, a slow jig will come into its own.
Yeah. I think you answered my question exactly as I asked it. Like, I think that's exactly what I mean. Is that it feels like you're telling me that you think the fishable mode in a slow jig is the down,
Yeah.
and that the up isn't really doing you any favours.
No.
Whereas with a flying collar, it was always the up.
Yeah.
Was the good
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. I mean, they will hit on the way down, won't they? But
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's
You're
when you
reeling
just
it either through them or away
Yeah,
from them,
yeah.
and they come up and smash it. Because I find myself doing it to try and prove whether there's anything in it. But I think my success, you know, where I'm using the reel, so it's flicking up and it's coming down, but it's going up more than it's going down, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure I've had any. Whereas, say, you know, I'll just do what you, just my default setting, same as you, fishing closer to the wreck and keeping an eye on the sounder.
Yeah. I'm constantly looking. That's why I have it. I'm constantly looking. I'm working. So if I can see that column. Is that darting? So how do you do that then? It's just, is that wrist snapping?
Yeah, if you've ever walk the dog, but yeah, do you know what? Like whether it's walk the dog,
Yeah.
you know what that is on the surf,
Yeah.
or it's slow jigging,
Yeah.
or it's darting,
Yeah.
it's exactly the same. It's the slack allows it to wander off,
Okay.
and then you move it back and it tightens back up, and then it wanders off, and it just so happens the way the lure's designed, it always opposes itself. So it will go one way and it will always go the other way and always go the other way.
So is there a lure that you use for that, or can you do it with any lure?
Yeah, you need a specific lure. So this is a good example because it's double triangle. So
Okay.
it's basically got 2 shear faces on the head and 2 shear faces on the lure, and what's happening is it's coming slightly one way,
Yeah.
so that when you push it, it shears one way, but when it shears that way, it turns the other way, so when you pull it, it has to shear the other way, and it's just doing that with the
okay.
water. It's like a slow jig, but in a different...
Yeah. On a like a not a vertical column.
other way.
Yeah. Horizontal column.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so we just got back in now, and we got the 4 PM lock back in. Well, thanks very much for watching, and thanks for Adam for coming out and showing me some of the different different methods that you're using. But the one that I really got on with was the
tiny one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, because that's often the one that scares people. But I mean, that really is about as tiny as it gets off the boat. I mean, that's what I think it's a 1.3 inch lure.
Yeah. And
It's
what size
unflavoured,
hooks?
so it's a genuine lure. It's just a bit of rubber that looks like a shrimp.
And then what was interesting with that is that you don't vertically jig that, or you just sort of just try and keep contact with the bottom.
It's so fine. I mean, even the hook does. I mean, it's a size 14 on there, so even the hook doesn't weigh anything. So it has natural buoyancy anyway as we're moving along, as the boat's moving along. That's just wafting around behind the weight like that. That does enough.
And I'm not sure whether you had the Ballon on this
the biggest one of the day.
Yeah, I believe it
there
was.
You go. That
but
just shows you.
And you can also you can get your smaller species. So
Yeah.
it's not sort of big lure, big fish. It's better to almost have small lure and still catch a big fish.
I enjoy that. We had what, 9 species today?
Yeah, I believe
which,
so.
You know, that's good going.
And then the other one that we were using is that's
a darting now.
okay. And this was the one that I had some success on,
Yeah.
Which is on my rod, and that's like a drill lead. Is that what they call that?
Well, cone lead
Yeah.
or bullet sinker.
So that was the lure we showed you earlier, and then this lead just literally. So when you go down, that'll go down, and then when you lift,
the lead will beat its way to the bottom,
and
which
then
means
this
it'll
flows.
introduce this bit of slack where that'll just fall almost weightlessly. There's not much weight in that in the hook.
No.
So that's actually the best part of it, and then you never quite repeat that first drop, but you know, if you hop it or you do big sweeps,
But that will make that sort of dance, that affair.
yeah, that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and
Trying
that
to make that fall almost weightlessly is the best
And what-
presentation you can give.
And what I did, you know, obviously my sort of default mode is to go sort of heavier, always sticking with that. But when I switch round, I think I put on that yo-yo, and then I put on 15 gram
Yeah.
one, using the lighter line and the leader. It was still in the same, I was keeping the same contact with that as I would do with my other.
I was delighted with that,
Yeah.
because sometimes people feel like they're missing that thud into the bottom of an over heavy lure.
Yeah.
But you were on it. You know, we went down below 15 grams at one point, and you were fine. You knew where the bottom was, just like.
I think it's the same as anything.
Jigging.
It's like confidence, isn't it? With
Exactly.
it, once you start to catch, and I did start to catch using this method. I think you outfished me today, but it's.
I'm not sure about that. I'm still thinking about that bream.
But yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day. I mean, it was great for you to come out and to show me this. As I say, I'm no expert. I've been doing lure fishing for about 15 years, but really and truthfully, as I explained to you before, mine is vertical jigging. That is a bass, is it? Or mullet? Yeah, mine's vertical jigging. So really, I'm looking at having that lure sort of down almost like the same as slow pitching, and obviously I've got onto, now I've got the new slow pitch rod, and that I'm obviously trying that now, but it's given me a different concept of it, especially working reefs and things like that, where I can get away with using something much lighter.
On those days that the tide doesn't warrant pushing out to a wreck, or you're scratching your head, what can I do today? Throw some light lure gear on and have a bit of fun on these excellent reefs you seem to have an abundance outside of Eastbourne. And I tell you what I really like, though, I really like the fact that all that experience you've got with vertical fishing, it translated, because I'm used to going fishing with novices or near novices, and there's like a gap of sort of understanding, but you took I could see how you were fishing all day. You took that heavier approach, and then when you were using that silly little thing, it translated. But you weren't lost. You knew what was going on. You could see it.
You could, when I'm sort of, do a lure. So when I was using my sort of default mode, it was working right. When I switched over to yours, well, obviously with the lighter line. So I think that if I want to get into this, this lighter gear, I need to possibly get my braid down to 18 pound.
The line is key. That's what allows you to get away with such I mean, I think probably the lightest I used today was 7 grams, and we were fishing, I think the bulk of it maybe 40-50 foot. Does that about right? Like, you could push it a bit lighter at the slacker end.
See, that was beyond my imagination of that.
It doesn't seem possible, does it?
I thought that you would need almost like this Portland rig, where you'd have to have like an 8-ounce lead on, and then perhaps you know, fluorocarbon off of that, and that isn't the case. No.
Because and like the lightest gear we were using today, that had 6 pound line on it.
Yeah.
But like I said, you know, we landed the biggest ballon of the day
Yes,
on that.
yeah,
It's not.
yeah.
You know, you have to take your time a little bit and play the fish.
It was
a little
great
bit,
fun,
but
man.
it's
I mean,
doable.
even when I used your reel, as I say, it was great fun. It's just screaming off,
Yeah,
you know.
the drag goes quite often.
Yeah. Well, I'm really pleased. Well, thank you very much for.
I've had such a great day.
Fantastic.
I've enjoyed it.
Thanks very much for watching Manic Fishing, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
You right with it? All good, mate. All good.